What is up, my friends? I am Ryan. I'm a man of the world. I'm currently in Quito, Ecuador, and this is where I've lived for the past 2 years. Sara, my significant other, and I are planning a move to Cambodia, and a bunch of shit went down. We got robbed at gunpoint just 4 days away from moving. You can watch the first part of this video or the video about the robbery and kind of get the lowdown about all that. But in this video, I am going to take you to Cambodia. The move is back on. It's been probably almost a month, but we're pretty much back on track. We're once again 4 days out from moving, and I'm hoping to take you along on that journey, assuming everything goes according to plan. So I guess we'll see.
Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this.
Pants falling down. Okay, let's start things off with how we went from a passportless Sara to now. Basically, we applied for an ETD, an emergency travel document, that had to be applied through the British Embassy in Quito here. And in order to get this emergency travel document, we have to state every step of our journey. We're allowed up to 5 layovers, 5 countries we're allowed to hit. Normally people would use this to get back to their home country, but in our case we didn't want to do that because we were going to Cambodia, and if we did end up going back to Sara's home country of England, we wouldn't be allowed to leave there until she got a new passport, which takes like a month now. So we definitely had to avoid that. If any of the steps of our journey didn't work out, if a flight got canceled or if we didn't get our visa back in time for Cambodia, then we'd have to apply for a new emergency travel document, because you have to stick to the schedule for it. And they only allow you to apply for it twice in your lifetime, at least the British Embassy does. So it's a pretty hairy situation, and especially considering COVID's going on. We're limited on flights because there are just less flights out there. And we're also limited because some countries we can't transfer through because of COVID. They won't allow you to transfer through it. Especially considering if you have to do a transfer where you collect your bags, go through immigration and all that. So any transfers like that, we almost had to avoid, other than a few countries where we're allowed to do that. And normal transfers usually okay, but some countries aren't even allowing that. On top of all that, the ETD, the emergency travel document, is only good for certain countries. Our original plan was to go through America. We were going to fly to Miami, do a few days there. I would get vaccinated, and then we would go from there to Cambodia via Korea. So that was the original plan, but because of the ETD, America doesn't accept emergency travel documents. They will accept them if you get a visa in them. So Sara would need a visa to go through the States, even just to transfer through. But right now, they are not issuing visas unless it's an emergency. Is this an emergency? We were robbed at gunpoint, passport stolen, seemed like an emergency. So we shot them an email and asked them, is this emergency? Can you give us a visa? So we waited and we waited for the American embassy. If we could transfer through America, it would make our lives easier because 1, it's kind of the fastest way to get to Cambodia from here, and 2, it would save us money because we had flights booked already and we kind of put them on hold. If we could just delay them and still take them, then it would be a lot cheaper than to have to cancel them, pay a big fee for canceling. Actually, one flight we couldn't cancel, we only have credit now. What else? Look at the puppy. But a week later, the US Embassy got back to us and they said, no, we aren't doing that right now. So we wasted a whole week sitting around just waiting for them to get back to us, which is very frustrating. I'm assuming that they were eating Frito pie instead of answering our email. I don't know. They pissed me off. What exactly is Frito pie? Please don't tell me it is Frito corn chips in some kind of pie format.
It feels like you're holding orange crap in a bag.
See ya. American Embassy, you suck, get your shit together. After that week of waiting, doing nothing, we decided, okay, we have to do this another way. So we canceled those flights and we tried to figure out another way to get to Cambodia from here. And we did that. We found a way, and that meant we could apply for the ETD So we submitted it. You do it online, and you have to basically submit your itinerary, the police report saying that we were robbed of the passport, and basically make an appointment online. It takes just a couple of days, working days. So I think we hit a weekend, and we had about 4 days before we could go and pick that up at the British Embassy here in Quito. So I got the easy job, sit and have coffee. Meanwhile, Sarah is inside the British Embassy, which is right through there, and she is trying to get her emergency travel document. Fingers crossed, everything is good, and she will have a temporary passport in 10 minutes, hopefully. Please tell me it's a success.
I don't have it.
What? What the hell? All right, here's the deal. Couldn't get it.
Got cake instead.
Meal oha with chocolate, coffee, and caramello. We're sitting and waiting. We're gonna go back at noon, and hopefully we'll be able to get it then. There was some problems. Basically, they wanted proof that we'd be able to get into Cambodia. We don't necessarily have that, but we have an email from somebody saying that we will be able to get a visa for Cambodia. So we'll see. We're gonna try again. Oh yeah, business, baby. We're in business.
Let's DHL this shit.
All right, say goodbye to your passport again. Bye. So we immediately took the passport to DHL. We mailed it to Canada to my mom, who was awesome, who drove it all the way into Toronto and got the Cambodian visa in it and mailed it back to us the same day. Quick note that the DHL from Quito to Canada took 3 days, cost $40. The DHL from Canada to Quito took 7 days? No, six days, and cost $90. I don't really get that when it's the same company going the same route, but I thought that was interesting. But we got it, visa's in it. All we need now are negative COVID tests, which we will do 24 hours before we jump on a plane. And I mean, as long as nothing goes wrong, we should be headed to Cambodia in 4 days. And you're coming. You ready? You got your bags packed? Let's go. Yeah, listo? From the most disgusting thing you've seen to the most delicious. Oh yeah, it smells amazing.
That sauce?
Yeah. I got vacío, which is an Argentinian special cut. Comes from kind of the belly of the cow. Got some wine here. And we're celebrating. Negativo. Both negative. So that means negative test means we are on a plane tomorrow. Unless something else goes wrong, but what could possibly go? We're not going to say that. Knock on wood. Tomorrow we're out of here.
Had such bad customer service from an agent. Like I'm not wrong.
Customer's never wrong.
I'm not wrong, and I wasn't.
No.
So
okay, let me tell the story. All right. So twice I've shit my pants already today. We are in the airport. We're waiting for our flight to Spain. We got through everything, barely. So we go to check into the flight, and they say, no, you need to be vaccinated to go to Spain. And we're like, no, we checked this 100 times. That's not what it is. And it was very confusing. And it's confusing because our flight is so confusing. Basically, our first flight from Ecuador to Spain, and then there's a self-transfer. And we read online, you can do that as long as you stay within the airport, and your next flight is within 24 hours. We're going to have to collect our bags. We're going to have to check in for the flight again, which is, Jesus, another scary thing. But we can do that. And she was saying, no, you can't, because your next flight after that is the flight to Paris, because you're transferring to Paris, you're staying in the Schengen area, and you can't do that unless you're vaccinated. And we were adamant, no, that's not true. You got to call a manager, do something, because we're not leaving. So she called the manager, and she talked to him for a couple minutes, and she hung up the phone. She grabbed our passports and did it. No, like, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong, or I don't know, anything.
You were right, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Or like, oh, actually, I can't let you board.
A little human decency.
She just turned her, and she like made it seem like I should know I should put my bags on as well. She's like,
yeah, she was pissed off because she was wrong after that. That took like 15 minutes of just like arguing with her. Yeah, no, we were sweating bullets up there because after all this, and we were afraid we weren't going to get to Spain, and then we'd have to. Oh, jeez. How much were the bags?
$430.
$430 for 2 extra bags. And I don't know how the she got that number, because we looked that up ahead of time too. We literally contacted the airline. So we wanted to buy the bags ahead of time, but they said, no, you can't. You have to buy them at the thing. How much will they be? And they told us the price. It was twice as much. I don't know if she was just mad at us or what. It seems crazy. She said it's always been that price, and we were arguing about that too. That's a lot for bags. I've never seen bags that are $215 each. So anyway, we paid that. We go through security, no problem, breeze. And then we hit the immigration because Sarah doesn't have her passport with the visa in it. We asked, who did you ask about that?
I asked the embassy and I asked my human resources manager.
The embassy and her human resources manager said, just tell them that your passport was stolen. They don't need the visa. We kind of figured it's probably on a system of some sort. She probably could find her in the system and see that when her visa expires or whatever. But no, that was a huge problem as well. And that took standing at the visa desk, that took another 15-20 minutes of her going to find help, her going to get somebody else. And they ended up putting my visa in for her, which
why don't
I
they
don't
have
know.
access to my visa information when they put the passport number in? I don't understand. So
Yeah.
they have no access to any visa information unless you have a copy of it.
So anyway, we got through there, but it was another headache, and so it's twice now, and we haven't even got on the first flight yet. So I'm worried about this. I'm terrified now. I'm terrified they're not going to let me in Spain to do my transfer, all this stuff. But we have done this research. It's just has everybody else done it? It doesn't seem
That's
that.
the thing. You just have some check-in desk lady who gets to make the final decision.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the information in front of her. Where are you getting you have to be vaccinated from? Show me where it says I have to be vaccinated. That's all I said to her. Show me where it says you have to be vaccinated.
Okay, they're calling names. They're probably going to call my name, take us away or something. Sound like she said Ryan, but... So we actually made it to Spain. We're in Spain now. There's Sara right there. And we just had another difficult transfer here. They wouldn't let me go and pick up my bags. I told him I was transferring. He said, go to the transfer thing. And I'm like, I got to get my bags and check in the next flight. And he's like, no, somebody else will have to get the bags for you. Sarah got through. Basically, she went through, got all our bags, had to bring them all the way to the next terminal. And I just took an easy ride to the next terminal. But then they weren't going to let me in to check in. And I had to, there's just so much stuff going on. There's you have to have this QR code that says that you've had your COVID test or whatever. And it doesn't make any sense because I asked the guy, I'm like, am I allowed in Spain if I wanted to just stay? And he's like, yeah, you can stay, no quarantine. All you need is a negative PCR test. But we don't let certain people transfer unless they don't have bags. Or, I don't know. It's all over the place. I'm getting false information left and right. But we got checked in, and then we ran. We had to run to make our flight. They delayed the flight about 25 minutes, which is kind of good for us because we ran anyway. We would have made it anyway. But the next flight, we only have an hour to transfer. We have 1 hour in Paris to make it to the next flight. We don't have to collect our bags in or anything, but it's cutting it short, and now that they've knocked off 25 minutes, that leaves us with 35 minutes to make this next transfer. We only have 5 minutes till the gate opens to board the next flight.
보다 자세한 내용은 앉아서 등받이 속의 안내문을 참고해 주세요. Enjoy your flight.
Nice. Yes. Here I am, exhausted, in Seoul, South Korea, or Incheon, I guess is where the airport is. And it's totally dead here in the international terminal. I am also totally dead tired that is. And we have one more flight left to Cambodia. That will leave in a couple hours, 3 hours maybe, and I think it takes about 3 hours too. So we're almost there. Feeling pretty good about it now. Not much going to stop us now. While we're at our boarding gate and everything, it's we're going to get there, I think. I can't tell you how excited I felt as soon as I got on the Korean airline flight. It felt like I was back in Asia. We were still in Paris at that time, but the food on the flight was awesome. They had bibimbap, and you mix it yourself, and just the vibe of it all, the wackiness of the airplane. Something make Ryan something. My brain isn't functioning that well. So when we arrive in Cambodia, we have to put down $2,000 each, give them cash, and that pays for our quarantine, which is a 2-week quarantine. And that's what the next video will be about. I'm going to take you into the quarantine hotel in Cambodia and just show you how it works, what it's like. I don't know. I'm going to be stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks, so who knows what we'll get up to, shooting some wacky video or something. But for now, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to try to get some sleep on one of these empty benches, and I will see you guys in Cambodia. I can't believe we are pretty much there. Phnom Penh, baby. No baggage. Baggage didn't make it.
Prefer when I'm by myself. I don't wanna hang around y'all. Pray for good health. One day I'm gonna ball. Fuck around and buy the whole mall. Breaking that cake. Flexing 700 in the bank. Not a superhero, I don't save. Look at my face. Look at my grades. Don't match up, no love.